It was hard. It really was hard. No one knew about it.
Yeah.
Because I wore like the perfect masquerade, man. Perfect masquerade.
Yeah.
No one knew anything.
You had an experience, an accident about 10 years ago. It probably changed everything.
When I was 18, just getting ready to go into college, I had a wrestling accident that basically tore off my thumb, tore off my ulnar collateral ligament that attaches it, and then the muscles with it. So they went to go reconstruct the ligament. You're supposed to take the plumeris longus ligament out of your forearm.
Oh, wow.
And they accidentally harvested my medial nerve instead of the plumeris longus. I lost all feeling in my hand. I lose muscle, and then like my grip strength goes and everything else goes. I was at the point where basically my thumb was stuck like this. Couldn't pick up anything.
How did that change you as a person going through this?
The biggest thing that happened was dropped out of that school, went to like just my hometown school, but I fell in this like huge, not just like depression, but like anger.
Yeah.
Just mad at everything. And all I did was resort to not just drinking every weekend, and then that wasn't enough. It was drugs. It's not even just like one drug, it's 2, 3. How many can I put together?
Totally.
Like, it's just, that wasn't enough. And so then you're filling these voids with, women, and it was probably a good 3-4 years of just, I was crying in my room, screaming, God, why? Don't understand why this is happening. You're trying hard to like fix your life, but you still have so much pain.
Yeah.
So as like a broken man, what do you do? And
Ryan Stacks, we're live. Welcome to the Rollercoaster podcast.
awesome. Thank you.
Thanks for being here, brother. You are, for those not watching but listening, this is a physical specimen that we have right here in front of us. So I encourage you, if you want to see what that means, to tap into the YouTube side or on Instagram. But I really appreciate you doing this. I know we met a few months ago. We've tried to do it for a long time. You've been traveling a lot. And so I'm really happy that we finally put this together, man. So thank you.
Absolutely.
I just want to kind of dive right in. I think you had an experience, an accident about 10 years ago that probably changed everything for you. And I think it's probably been the catalyst that's allowed you to become this man that I'm sitting in front of today. So I'd love for you to take us through what happened, that accident, and sort of how it defined you.
Yeah. So it was when I was 18, actually. So my whole life, there's 2 things that I loved. It was wrestling and animals. So being a veterinarian was like my dream job.
Yeah.
And wrestling was in our Harmon. Whoa, take that out.
No, it's okay.
Yeah. So wrestling was like in my family name, and it's just all my dad did it, all of his brothers did it,
yeah,
all my cousins do it. That's all we do. That's our sport. And so that's all I did for 15 plus years was wrestle and love animals. And I did everything in school to put myself in position to go to vet's program and whatnot. And then when I was 18, just getting ready to go into college, I actually had a wrestling accident that I basically tore off my thumb and tore off my ulnar collateral ligament that attaches it, and then the muscles with it. So they went to go reconstruct the ligament, and you're supposed to take the plumeris longus ligament out of your forearm.
Oh, wow.
And they use that ligament to reconstruct the new one, right? Well, like 10% of people don't have that ligament because it's kind of pointless in the body, doesn't do much. And so I didn't develop it. And so they came to my medial nerve where the plumeris longus was supposed to be, and they accidentally harvested my medial nerve instead of the plumeris longus. So now that's up in my hand somewhere doing nothing. I have 13 centimeters of no medial nerve, which means there's no feeling or sensation going to my hand anymore, right? So, and anything past like 3 centimeters you can't fix of like nerve damage. So mine was 13. So it was like, there's no option, period. So I lost all feeling in my hand. And then with that, over time, without sensation, like your muscles deteriorate. And so I lose muscle, and then like my grip strength goes and everything else goes. So then I was at the point where basically my thumb was stuck like this. I had 0 use of my thumb. Couldn't pick up anything. It was just kind of stuck like a hook. So after that, what happened? Oh yeah. So I ended up with going on my vacation to the Caribbean, and I had 2 cuts along my nails here, index finger and middle finger. And those got infected with a rare bacteria from the ocean called Microbacterium, and a lot of Alaska fishermen get it, I guess. But anyways, they got in my bones, and so they had to amputate the first joint of each bone. And I was stuck in the hospital for like a week on IVs and stuff like that, and PICC lines in my heart, just trying to fight this infection that was like, bone infections are pretty serious. So, but I had an infection specialist, another doctor, a hand specialist, all these people working on this case. And the hand specialist was more worried about my numbness. He's like, okay, you should have had more pain to the point, you wouldn't have been in the hospital to get amputated because you would have felt pain before that. We would have dealt with it.
Yeah.
So why are you not feeling your hand, man? So a month later after that, once the infection stuff was taken care of, he opened me up, discovered that my medial nerve was gone. So we didn't know until at this point.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So I just never felt my hand for 5-6 months.
Oh, crazy.
And I was just like, maybe it'll come back. That's what we were told. It's supposed to come back. It's just taking too long. So he found out that the nerve was gone. And so he's the one that hit up like the other hospital and the other doctors and explained what happened. And so that became its own little case. But then a month after that investigation surgery, he brought me back in to reroute an index ligament or tendon around my wrist to my thumb. So now that my old index tendon is what controls my thumb now. So it gives me at least use to be able to pull out my thumb into an open hand to like pick up water bottles or just basic needs, So like I couldn't have, I couldn't eat with forks before. Now I can eat with a fork and, stuff like that.
Still no feeling though.
No feeling. Right? Yeah. Feeling's gone. I still only have about 30% grip in my hand, maybe 35%.
Really?
So I can't do a lot with it. And it is my dominant hand. So I do a lot more left-handed now.
Wow.
But so yeah, that's kind of like the big spill of like the injury.
How did that change you? Right. Like, so not physically, right? Obviously physically you lost some parts of your fingers. You have no sort of feeling in that right hand anymore, but like, how did that change you as a person going through this?
Well, that's where it's going to get dark. So without, grip strength, feeling, I had to drop out of college wrestling. I was going to be going on the team at North Idaho College. They're #1 D3 school in the country, back-to-back national champions. Like, that was my dream. Had to drop out freshman year because there's just no option to wrestle. No matter how hard I try, I just can't compete at that level. Yeah. So, and then because of that, without feeling, there's no option of doing surgeries because I can't even figure out how to like manipulate a button to button up my shirt. So there's no way I'm going to be able to perform surgeries or do suturing and stuff like that. So I had to drop out of all my vet programs and stuff as well. So both things that I loved my whole life was gone.
Yeah.
So the biggest thing that happened was dropped out of that school, went to like just my hometown school and just started taking whatever else classes I could too. Just because that's what you're supposed to do, right?
Yeah,
I didn't know what else to do. And, but I felt in this like huge, not just like depression, but like anger.
Yeah.
Just mad at everything. And, I was always like the happiest boy, nicest kid in school. I was the kid that was like friends in every clique. I didn't really have my own clique. I just loved everyone.
Yeah.
And I just all I did was resort to not just drinking every weekend and whether I was at college or not even in college, and then that wasn't enough, drinking and numbing the pain. I had to feel something. So then it was drugs.
Yeah.
And then it's not even just like one drug, it's 2, 3. How many can I put together?
Totally.
Like, it was like a, nonstop fall. And then that wasn't enough. And so then you're filling these voids with, women and, whatever you can find to feel something. Yeah. And it was probably a good 3-4 years of just, I didn't really have a direction in life. I just was still mad. You know, I didn't like fall off the wagon by any means. Like I was still training. I was still working. I was still doing something to improve my life, but it have a purpose.
Yeah.
So I was still filling this all up to try to, you know, give myself a purpose with nonsense.
Yeah.
And it was hard. It really was hard. No one knew about it.
Yeah.
Because I wore like the perfect masquerade, man. Perfect masquerade.
Yeah.
No one knew anything. And then I would just take off. Like I went to like Dubai alone. I moved to Colorado alone. I would go travel to Vegas 3-4 times a week. Like I would go to Mexico alone. Like I wouldn't even tell my parents, you know. All of a sudden they just catch up with me after 3 months. I was like, oh yeah, I've been in these countries, you know. No one knew anything. Yeah. So it wasn't like great by any means.
Yeah.
But I will say I developed a whole new sense of self-individual, you know, ability to myself, which I probably wouldn't have learned
for sure
without that, because I did everything myself.
Yeah.
So was it the right way to do it? Hell no. But it was the way I ended up learning how to, you know, be self-sufficient and be able to, you know, take care of myself, and be able to travel a little bit on my own and experience things. But it was a long road. And then eventually, you know, I just had a waking up moment.
Yeah. I just want to say thank you for sharing that. I mean, it's, you know, the podcast is called the Rollercoaster Podcast, right? Because you think about what a roller coaster does. It does this and it tops and turns. And sometimes you're at a high and then you crash down and you're at this low. And sometimes you stay down, you come up a little and then right? So, you know, the audience loves hearing these kind of vulnerable stories because all of us are going through our own version of something really difficult at any given time. And the thing that I've seen with humans, man, is humans are so resilient. When you're in the thick of it, when you're going down that deep, dark path, you don't really understand why. But now looking back, you go, man, that was part of my journey. And I don't think I would be who I am today without having fallen as hard as I did. Right.
Oh yeah.
So was there like you said I sort of had this awakening. Was there a moment or like an inflection point or a turning point in your life where you went like, okay, enough is enough? And how did you start kind of rebuilding yourself, you know, after that?
So it was like when I was living in Colorado. So I spent a lot of time in Colorado alone. I moved there with my buddy, but he was in school and working and doing his thing. So, you know, I was still doing a lot of stuff on my own.
Yeah.
And, you know, I did a lot of hiking. You know, I was still training. I had friends I would hang out with, but I did a lot of self-reflecting during it. Still trying to find a purpose. I was working for some other big companies like Quest Nutrition. I was running these events at like Olympias and Arnold's and stuff like that. So I was helping out with the fit expos and stuff. And doing that kind of stuff. And I was still very involved in the fitness industry throughout this. But I didn't, I was still trying to figure out what did I want to do.
Yeah.
And I was using my social media thing at the time. I think it was just Instagram was out there. I've never been a YouTube guy. Maybe one day, but so there was honestly like this just moment, like kind of like where I just was crying in my room, screaming, God, why? You know, it was kind of like that kind of coming to Jesus moment thing. You don't understand why this is happening. You're trying hard to like fix your life, but you still have so much pain.
Yeah.
So as like a broken man, what do? You know? And at that time, I think it was like a couple days later, my sister calls me. She's like, hey, I can't, or she was just kind of talking about life. And she expresses that she's going to quit work. She can't afford childcare. She's got 3 kids. It's more expensive for her to work than to pay for, daycares and stuff like that. Yeah. And she's a social worker, and how social workers work, you got to get all these hours in before you start making good money and get licensed. So I was like, no, that's stupid. You've been doing this your whole life. You're so close to getting licensed and opportunities are opening up. I'm just going to come up there and I'll nanny your kids for you for like a year until you can get this done. So that's what I did. I just left, found out, a different purpose.
Yeah.
I wasn't doing anything. I wouldn't help out my moved in with my sister and took care of her kids for like 10 months. And her husband is self-employed. He works like nights and, he's crazy hours. So their scheduling is way different. So I was always there when they needed it. And then that's during that moment too, is when I had this like straight up like punch in my face, like basically like a God moment. Like there's nothing else that could explain it. Like I'm not even going to try to explain it because it doesn't make sense to anyone.
For sure.
It doesn't make sense to me, but there's the only thing that can explain it was literally like just God was telling me like, just keep going. You are loved. Like his voice was right there. So it's like, and I'm not like a super religious person. I don't go to church, but like, I have faith, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And then that was, that was my biggest thing. That was like, okay, keep cleaning up my act, Yeah. There's going to be more to come. There always is more to come. So, and obviously when you're deep of it, you don't really think about that, because you're always just focused on the pain, the hurt.
Yeah.
So, and then that's a couple months later is when I ended up meeting, well, not really meeting, but actually dating who is now my wife.
Yeah. During that process, I mean, did you have serious contemplations of suicide?
I can't say serious.
Yeah.
Did I ever think about, would it be nicer? Sure.
Yeah.
Those thoughts always go through someone hurting.
Yeah.
But actually physically doing it, no.
Never got there.
Don't think so.
I asked the question because, this was obviously several years ago, the story that we're talking about, but in 2023, man, it's gotten out of control. Like there's a lot of men that are hurting and they don't feel like they have any other way than to just go. Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
And dude, it's like, I've had men in my life, I've had 5 in the last 6 months that are not necessarily super close to me, but they're close enough, man, to where like you hear this news and you just go, what? Like, how did they get there?
Yeah.
And I feel that there's I'm going to be building a men's coaching community starting on January 1st. We're launching it. And it's really just my attempt to help save lives, man. I feel like a lot of men just don't have other men that they can be safe with and sit down and just open up and be vulnerable and say, man, I'm hurting. And it sounds like you didn't have that at that time, right? Like, and maybe you did, but to me, it sounds like you kind of went on this journey alone. And fortunately enough, eventually you found some purpose, and that was enough to kind of, get you out of this funk. But
yeah, there's definitely people in my life. Like I still try to be part of like men's groups, and stuff like that. Like it wasn't like the most like serious thing, but I had an option to go participate in something, be around other guys or just like people. It doesn't even have to be guys, just friends. Someone that was an impact or someone who I looked at as like a leader. I've always wanted to be a leader, and so I was like try to be close to someone that like I saw as a leader. Whether it was like a once a month thing or once every 3 months things, but like I wanted to make that initiative to be there. But
yeah, it's amazing. Well, thank you for sharing that story. A lot of what we're going to talk about moving forward for the audience is going to be much lighter and much more silly because that's really who Ryan is today. And so, I want to talk about, I actually want to start out by talking about your presence on social media. Okay. So what is your handle? I am Ryan or I am Stacks. What is the handle? Is it I am Stacks?
I am Stacks.
Okay. So if you go search Ryan Stacks or I am Stacks, you will find him, and we'll tag him in the show notes here. But if you want just to feel you could feel lots of different ways by looking at your profile. But for me,
No, it is. No, for sure.
I get like a lot of joy by like watching it. 'Cause even when it's like serious stuff like photo shoots and stuff like that, I'm just like, damn, this guy's so like confident and just out there. And you know, a lot of the stuff you do on TikTok, like the Abel Hart dance that you did, like walking down your street in cowboy boots and like, you know, short jean cutoffs, no shirt. Like, it's like, I'm just envisioning whoever's filming that in your neighborhood and your neighbors looking at the door, be like, there's Ryan again, like doing his thing. Right. So, you know, talk to me about like just the evolution of that. Like, you know, I told you before we started that I really feel like you're this just like one of one guy. You should be super proud of that, by the way. 'Cause like most men, I mean, even including myself in many ways, I'm like, there's probably other men out there that are just like me, you know, but for you, it's like, I don't think you can really say that. I think you're a one of one. So how did you become this Ryan Stacks guy?
Yeah. So I guess during like the most thing I did consistently through my struggle time was I was in the gym every day. It didn't matter. I was there.
Your therapy.
Yeah. Besides like once a day I took off, of course, but like I was there, and any struggling guy will say that that's what they will, you know, resort to for the most part. Yeah. It's something that you can get stress, lifted away, you know, just work away. There's no worries. You just pound it out. Yeah. And so, and I was really heavily involved in the fitness industry, like I kind of mentioned, but a lot more than that. You know, I was competing in bodybuilding. In 2016, I was top 3 in the country at a national level. So like, by no means did I like hold back on that aspect of it, even though I was struggling everywhere else. Yeah. And so my whole Instagram was fitness. You know, that's what I did. But now I have like right around that time when I started coming out, like, and, you know, bettering my own life mentally, I started this like little slogan for myself, like fitness is what I do. It's not who I am. Yeah. But from outside perspective, anyone on my social media, they would define me as fitness. Yeah. And once I looked back at that and I kind of saw that, that's not what I wanted to be known for. Yeah. Sure, I wanted to be known for like fitness and, you know, maybe inspiring people to be in the gym or, you know, just getting healthier, getting outside, you know, doing something more. But
not your identity.
Yeah, I don't want to be identified as that. Yeah. Like, it's for any aspect. It doesn't no matter what my job is. I don't want to be identified as a job, you know, or one certain thing. Because like, if you take that away from you, who are you? Yeah. You know, if I like lose both my hands and I can't fitness anymore, who am I? So that kind of like hit me hard, right? So I have always been like into like making, you know, videos and skits when I was in high school, when I was younger, you know.
Like into acting?
Sort of. Yeah. Ish. Yeah. Little skit things me and my friends would do for fun, like just dumb things. Yeah. And I actually did college theater. So I did a little bit of that. Okay. Yeah. Which I did love. I love it. It is a lot of fun.
You are a showman for sure.
People are just, they're fun. Yeah. And they don't care. They just do what they want to be fun, you know. So there was an app that got released in 2018. Had it been 17. Yeah. So in 2017, an app came out, and it was being very marketed hard on Facebook advertisements. And some people might know of it, but it's called Musical.ly. And it was strictly a kids app, like 12 years and under. Okay. So I got on this app, and I was like a creator, and I just started creating like kid content, just funny, goofy, dumb little things, you know. And I got really big on the app as a creator, fast. And about a year later, and I don't know why I did, but something told me when I saw this that this was going to be something. Okay, like there was Instagram, there was Facebook, there was YouTube. That was it. And there was nothing else. And like what this app was super unique. And it was also something where I could make different type of content that wasn't fitness. So it allowed me to kind of like branch out to who I really wanted to be, or who I truly was that I wasn't already showing. Yeah. And then a year later, that app merged with TikTok Asia and went worldwide, because Musically was Europe and America, and TikTok was Asia. So they merged together, went worldwide, and kept the TikTok name. So when TikTok became TikTok, for the rest of the world that we know of now, I was already a huge creator. I became part of the TikTok headquarters team for the first year that was launched in 2018 into 19.
Yeah.
So
it's amazing. So I think there's a lot of people that want to create content. And, I think the thing that I want you to speak to is just that you hear big creators talk about this a lot, but I think it's easier said than done. I don't know what that noise is. That is crazy. Do you hear that?
Yeah, dude, they're doing construction outside.
Oh, is that what that is?
Yeah, they got a huge bulldozer.
Okay. For those wondering, there's like some crazy like bass sounding noise coming through the walls, and this is a very insulated room, so construction. But one thing that that creators talk about a lot is just doing creating like original content, doing the stuff that you want to do, and recognizing that will always win because it's authentic and people can feel that authenticity. So like, dude, when you like take your clothes off and you're dancing or model, like how do you get to that place where you're like, dude, I'm just gonna put this out there.
Yeah.
Now like what works. And so you're probably a lot more confident, but in the beginning, the first time you ever take your clothes off and you're doing something crazy, like how do you get the confidence to just be like, I'm all right, here it goes.
So like initially, like off, the Musically thing, it was kids content, so I wasn't really doing that, but it was still very out there stuff. It was, dumb. All my friends would be like, what the heck? Like, just what are you doing?
Yeah.
Like any person looking with a common sense at what I was making is going to think you're dumb, so it really was. But that's the content that is, people want to watch, especially kids, And so I just kind of like, once TikTok came in, every year, TikTok has changed dramatically, what the content has being made and how it's being made and, what people want. And so, and now we're like 5 years in and it's so different. It's wild since the first year. But so I kind of just kept running with that. But then like, I really want to implement more of like, obviously I am an in shape person. I've worked for 15 years for my physique and who I am. Like, so I want to utilize that in like, my a way, but I don't want to do it in like a,
like the
check
like
me
the
out.
normal way.
Yeah. Ooh, check me out because I work out type of way.
Yeah.
Thirst trap type of thing. Like I'm not big into that stuff.
Yeah.
So I still utilized it, but in more of a goofy comedy.
Yeah.
Screwball comedy way.
Yeah.
And so I kind of it started in 2020 when I brought out the shorts and the boots. And they're actually my wife's boots, and they do not fit me. And
toes are just
the people who
crimped.
actually wear boots call it out hard. Like I'm on my tippy toes in these boots. My heels are up. I'm wearing heels. That's why I look like I'm like prancing, because I physically can't walk correctly in them.
That's what makes it funny.
Yeah, it's so like people are like, dude, those boots do not fit you. And they're like, if they're actually like cowgirls or cowboys, they call it out. But they and so I made a Tiger King video because it was 2020, so that's when Tiger King came out, and I made the Tiger King video in those boots and the shorts, and it just got millions and millions of views and blew up. And so then I started a whole series with them for like 2020 into 2021, and then I kind of stopped doing it for about a year.
Yeah. And
then people from a lot of my old followers, they're like, they started commenting, where are the boots? Bring back the boots, or they're like, and all that stuff. So, and I was like, okay, I got to bring him back, but what is a good video to do it with? And then I saw the video of
Abel Hart's
dance, and I was like, this is gold.
Yeah.
So that's when I kind of brought it back.
Was that the first time they came back?
Yeah.
Oh, dude.
Oh, dude. You saw how much it just
went crazy.
Took over. I know. So now I'm like, I have this whole thing in my mind to continue with another series of this, but yeah. So, but honestly, like, yeah, I got a lot of flack for it. Whether it's though this is so funny, or wow, you're hilarious. I love this. You're so confident, blah, blah. Or it's, wow, this is dumb. You know,
You're an
why
idiot.
would, yeah, you're an idiot. You're probably not, honestly, it's probably 70% negative,
Yeah.
30% positive.
Totally. Yeah.
But you're always going to get that.
Yeah.
Like if you're not getting more negative comments, you're probably not doing something right for the most part.
Yeah.
Like, because that's just how the internet works. Internet loves to be more hate than positive.
Sure.
So you have to just go into it mentally prepared that you're going to get more hate than positive, no matter what. Whether they actually look at your content, I don't know. People just want to write bad things. So, and if you're not mentally prepared for it, it's going to break you down. You're going to want to quit. You're not going to be able to handle it. So, yeah, I was already mentally prepared for that.
Yeah.
But because I knew what I was doing and I knew I was, opening myself up for criticism, period.
Totally.
But I've been a loner my whole life. I don't need other people's
outside validation.
I don't need, that's a huge thing. Validation, man. When people post on the internet for validation, the problem with that is they always have to go back for it to be truly validated.
For sure.
And I don't need true validation from other people to feel it.
Yeah.
So I don't need to go to the internet for it. I don't need to post certain things and get that response. Sure, of course it feels good. It feels good to everyone, but it's not truly what I need, or what anyone should need.
Yeah. How big of a focus in your life are romance novels, right? So you've written now 20 of these in like what seems like a pretty short amount of time, like a few years, right? So when did that start? What, why, like, what is your passion or your fantasy with these romance novels?
So during all that, when I was like competing and stuff, I did a lot of covers. So I was like the brunette Fabio.
It was like the model on the cover.
Yeah, I'm the model on the cover for other authors' books. And I did that for a handful of years. I actually didn't even have long hair there. I had very, very short hair. And then that was for like 3 years. And then like 3 years into it, I started working closely and traveling with this other author as like one of her, because I was on a few of her covers. So I helped her at like signings and stuff and helping bring in like more marketing, like in-person marketing and stuff like that. Yeah. And she runs a lot of hospitals. And so she's pretty busy as well. And she wants to go like full-time author. And when it comes to being like a full-time author, it's for the most part, it's about how many books you have, because you got to have a lot of books for people, because readers just go through books like this. Yeah. And so she asked me, and she kind of like, we knew each other for like, a couple of years, and she saw some of my writing that I was just screwing around with. Like, I think we were on a book signing cruise ship one time, and I wrote like the paragraph just for shits and giggles. And she was like, holy mess. So like after that, for like a whole year, she's like, I want you to be my co-author. I want you to write the male perspective. I'll write the female perspective.
Oh, cool.
We can blast out chapters faster. We can get books out faster. And then we can just both go full time. And I was like, no, it's stupid. I hate writing. I hated English class. Never liked anything of it. So like a full year, she finally convinced me. And I was like, okay, if we're going to do a book, I'm going to do a Christmas book. Because I'm a Hallmark guy, okay? I love Hallmark Christmas. Christmas is my pride and
really?
Heart and soul. I will die for Christmas.
Hallmark movies, you love.
Yeah, I've seen them all, okay?
Dude, you and my wife would get along.
It starts October 26th. Until Christmas Day. That is me 100%. I'm Christmas kid.
That's
and
awesome.
King of Christmas right here. And yeah, my wife hates it.
Really?
Oh yeah.
Wow.
She hates Hallmark. Well, the Hallmark part of it.
Usually it's the opposite, right? usually the women like love those.
Yeah.
Those, because they're more like women centric, I think, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely, yeah.
But you lean into it.
They're the same story. I don't care. You can tell me this all day. They're the same story, and I love it. It is happy. It is wholesome. It's awesome. Yeah. So we wrote our first Christmas book, and I actually loved it. It was so much fun. Just the creativity part of it. And it's nothing like English. Like you just make up what you want. You create your own story. You create your own characters. You create your own world. And I love being creative, like in general, like. All the jobs I've ever worked had to do with being creative, whether it was like building decks or, like anything, like whether hands-on or just developing it. Like I loved anything that just you're putting something together to have an end goal,
Yeah.
or product. So that was fun. So I was like, all right, I'll do this. So then we started like writing books, and she had like a couple books out before this. So like we kind of revamped some of those to like continue and finish those series that she already started. And then we just started running off with our own series. And now we're releasing our 20th book this month.
So everyone has been with her.
Everyone's with her. Yes.
Wow.
We do every book together. We have our own LLC together and everything.
Like, how are the books doing? Like, what's like an indication that your book is doing well? Is it like 1,000 copies, 100, like 10,000? How do you guys think about like success when you launch a book?
For the most part, people are going to say, are you hitting the rankings? Are you hitting, USA Today bestselling, the lists, the New York Times list? Obviously those are great indicators, but even with somewhat like a lot of books that aren't on those lists are crushing it in sales, crushing it.
Yeah.
There are plenty of authors out there that have never hit a list, never been super high on something, but are just making dough with their money, or with their books, and their series and stuff, because it takes a very strategic marketing plan to hit those lists.
Oh yeah. All time bound.
It's all about timing and whether you do pre-sales or you don't do pre-sales. And obviously if you do pre-sales, they don't add to the sales on release day for the list. Yeah. But those are solidifying your income though. So it's like, do you worry more about actually your income, or do you worry about hitting lists? Yeah. And obviously hitting a list will help you with income later because people, it's on a list. Yeah. But yeah, it's, I mean, you're looking for at least, 10,000 plus for sure. Yeah. On like a good solid release day, you're crushing it then, but yeah, I mean, for the most part, like at the beginning, we were first starting off pretty small, we got like 2,000 sales. We're happy. That's
still a lot of books. Yeah.
If we're getting one sale, someone's loving it. We're getting a good review. That's we're killing it. Yeah. That's but yeah, now that we have all the books out, we're just expanding these series, and people like fall in love with these like series or worlds that we've made, or characters, and if there's not enough books for them, then they're telling us, these readers are telling us to come back and expand this world. Wow. Give this character in this world its own book. Like they want you to keep going with these other characters that you weren't. Like,
so it's infinite.
I mean, it's endless. You can almost make it endless.
Do any of these books coincide with each other, or are they all sort of unique pieces?
So we have 5 separate series.
Okay.
From all kinds of different, like we call them tropes or like subgenres. Yeah. So everything's romance, but there's like hundreds of like subgenres. So you have like student professor, the tropes are more like enemies to lovers type of thing, which everyone loves. That's like a fan favorite. They start off hating each other, end up loving each other, that type of thing. But yeah, so we have like a student professor series. We have like a fantasy paranormal series. We have dark romance, which is like the number one favorite of everyone's right now. Everyone wants dark romance. We have like a series that taps into like BDSM, so more like 50 Shades of Grey stuff. Then we have like a series.
What's the difference between dark romance and like 50 Shades of Grey?
Oh, everything.
Like, so for,
So 50 Shades of Grey is BDSM.
Which stands for what?
Bondage, submissive, dominant, and mesocyst, or somehow you pronounce it. I never pronounce it right.
No, I get the idea.
Unless I'm reading it. Yeah. But yeah, so that's kind of like your dominant, submissive roles is your BDSM. Okay. And typically the female is the submissive, male is the dominant, generally. And that's where you get into like tying people up and stuff. But it's that balance of vulnerability and like giving all your trust to someone. Yeah. It's not about like controlling a person. Yeah. By, so, which a lot of people see that as that. So they think it's dark romance, but it's not. Dark romance is like your taboo, very twisted, things. It could get into, kidnapping someone. It could get into, just messed up.
Could there be murder, killing?
There could be murder. There could be rape. There could be, forced sexual contact, you know, like that's not like rape, but like your spouse is telling, or your partner is telling you to do something for their pleasure type of thing, you know, and you're doing it because you love, you know, that's where the taboo, twisted darkness comes into. But yeah.
Thank you to our sponsors over at Bucked Up. I love this company. I love their products, their apparel, and their supplements. Recently, they dropped the mother of all pre-workouts, Mother Bucker. This is not for the faint of heart. This will make you want to claw your face off. So don't get stuck in traffic when you're headed to the gym. I love these guys. I love this company, and I love their products. They are clearly the best tasting pre-workout on the entire market, and they're number one for a reason. Bucked Up is my favorite workout brand, hands down. And they also have my favorite apparel for working out and just for daily life. It's Lululemon-like quality, but for a fraction of the price that's affordable. So head over to their site, buckedup.com, where you can check it out. And for 20% off their entire site, use the code TylerHall20.
So the characters in these books, I think there is how do you dream these characters up from the male perspective? Like, do you fantasize about, like, do you put yourself in the shoes of the character? Is this character actually you, and you're calling it something?
Yeah, right.
Like, dude, tell me about
that. Oh, like, these are some of your autobiographies, or, you know?
No, seriously. Like, how do you dream these characters up?
For the most part, we come up with obviously our concept and our plots.
Yeah.
And then obviously how that character needs to be for that plot to kind of happen. And then I've never, like, obviously you have to kind of like step yourself in those shoes, because that's how you're writing that character. You got to become that character in a way. And so, like, we never wrote dark romance. Like, the series we're writing right now currently is our dark romance series.
Yeah.
And when she brought it to me, she's like, "Hey, Ryan, this is what's selling." Okay.
Yeah.
You look at any top 10 list, it's dark romance across the board.
Yeah.
We need to write dark romance. And I'm like, I didn't even know what dark romance was at the time. I was like, what's dark romance? Like, I was thinking like horror, like gore, like, yeah, Saw 3 stuff with like kissing. And, but it's like, no. So they explained it to me, and I was like, you want me to write that? Like, that's not me, you know? But so I was like, I'll do my best. So, like, you have to, like, almost like take, like, or at least for myself, I got to take some time, like mentally try to get in the headspace of, like, how would this kind of person be?
Yeah.
And, like, and obviously you're doing some research and your stuff. You're, like, watching other, you know, shows or stuff. You're trying to get a concept of, like, what those kind of mindsets are like.
Yeah.
And then you just try to, like, you know, become it. But yeah, so I mean, you do a lot of researching, developing, like, ours is like mafia. So we had, like, with, like, an Irish and Russian and Italian mafia. So, like, we actually have to do a lot of researching, like, to get, like, the lingo right. Like, if it's like Irish people talking, I need to use that right lingo.
Yeah, for sure.
And so, like, at least, like, you know, it makes the book more like, like legit.
Yeah. Yeah. That's amazing. We got a couple more minutes here. So I really want to ask you about your tattoos. I'm very intrigued by tattoos. I'm actually finishing one that I have today, which is cool. It's a family tree kind of deal on my inner bicep.
Yeah.
But dude, you have, like, you're inked up. Like, are your legs inked up too?
Barely, but I'm planning. That's the next step right now.
So you're gonna be fully done up. Yeah. So talk to me about, like, why tattoos? What do they mean to you? You know, even just talking about some of the ones that you've put on your body.
Yeah. So mostly,
and feel free if you want to take your shirt off too and show what that looks like underneath too, because I think that tattoo's awesome.
So I only have my chest. I don't have, like, anything on my stomachs.
Yeah.
But it's all Disney. For the most part. So I started over here. This is kind of like my Jesus Christmas tattoos. So I got, like, Christmas lights wrapped around. I got roses, and then it just says forgiven, which is, like, the biggest thing for me, because, you know, I've been through the shit. I've done terrible, terrible things in my perspective. And so that that's crucial to me for my heart.
One of the most meaningful,
Yeah.
right there.
Probably the only meaningful one, honestly.
Like,
or like everything else is just art to me.
Yeah. Cool.
And then I have my compass, which has like God as north, and that's it. But that's the only thing that really truly meant something with me, because it's Christmas. It's, you know, but everything else is literally, I got anime. I got Gogeta from Dragon Ball Z
right on your hand.
On my hand. This is kind of unfinished. I want to finish it soon. This is all Nightmare Before Christmas. I got Tangled from, I got Flynn Rider and Rapunzel from Tangled.
Yeah.
And in the scene where they're holding up the lanterns.
Awesome.
And then we got Baymax, Toothless, Baby Groot, and Stitch. So we got the whole gang on this side. And everyone notices like the Baymax, because it's always like sticking out of my like tank tops. And they're like, dude, you got Baymax? I'm like, yeah, man. So we got Beating the Beast over here, Merida from Brave, and then Mulan, Mushu. We got Yoda.
Dude, Mulan's the best. Dude.
Yoda and Stormtrooper. And then probably my favorite one is Carl and Ellie from Up.
On your left hand.
It's the only part of the movie where Carl actually smiles, because he's a grumpy man, you know.
Oh, so, that's cool.
Yeah,
that's cool.
It was adorable. And then I have like my gastrocnemius calf tattoo done.
Yeah.
So like looks like the muscles ripped open.
Yeah.
But I want to expand on that whole leg.
Will you stick with the Disney theme on your legs?
No.
Or you can do something else?
I am. I'm doing like a whole like woman's face concept on my shin. And as I come up on my thigh, it'll actually be all my anime characters. So,
dude,
yeah,
crazy.
Little Dragon Ball Z, little Death Note, little Attack on Titan.
It's cool because there's like two schools of thought, right? There's a school of thought that's like, you know, these people, you shouldn't get tattoos unless they're meaningful. Yeah. And then there's another school that's like, no, it actually doesn't matter. Like this is all art to me.
Yeah.
I think it's cool. You meet less people, I think, like you, where there's not kind of like some deep meaning to every single piece. Yeah. And it's like, no, I just like the art. And so I'm going to do it, you know?
And that first like one or two, you're always like, that's how everyone is. Oh, it's got to mean something. It's got to be who I am, you know? Yeah, and then after you get a few of them, it's more so, as long as it looks good, I'm okay with it. Yeah. So
it's amazing, brother. Thank you so much for coming on and sharing your story. I think it was incredibly insightful, and I appreciate you just being vulnerable and opening up. I want you to close with the retreat that you're planning next year. Is there still availability for people to jump in and join the retreat that you and your wife are putting on?
Yes.
Okay. What does that look like?
It's a Costa Rica retreat. We're planning to go in September in 2024. Yeah. It's basically just a fun way to vacation. If you want to go alone, if you're never really traveled outside the country, we're just taking a small group with us that want to go on vacation, hang out with us, hang out with other people a little bit. And it's like a week long, and we're just going to hit like 3 different locations, you know, try to get the most out of a week in one country. And because a lot of people, you know, they are afraid to travel, or they just go and like kind of stay in one place because they're not comfortable, you know, moving around as much. Yeah. And that's what we do. Me and my wife, like that's how we travel ourselves. Yeah. So we want to like give other people like an experience, like how do we travel? Cool. And stuff. And just get to hang out with us and, you know, just have fun.
More relaxed, not like huge agenda with all these things. Like come and relax and let us just kind of take care of all the logistics of.
Yeah. There's a few activities, obviously, but there's like 3 of them in the whole week. But yeah, it's not very, for the most part, it's just like be at the beach, hang out. You have like a 2 or 3 hour activity in one day, and that's it. Otherwise, enjoy your life.
Yeah. Awesome, man. Well, thank you again for being on here.
Yeah,
I appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me.